Beautiful people. Wait, we live. Feeling like here. One, two, one, one, two, two, three. One, two, four. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And a 1, 2, 3. It's worth it. Let's see. Let's get everyone in here live. Live from whether you're listening to watching a program on YouTube, and that is the Thomas Sports Show. Please do subscribe on YouTube. Or if you're listening to the pod on Anchor, I thank you so very much. And yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this on audio form, I do have a sports channel that we kind of talk about some national sports, and we do wrestling on as well, and that's the Thomas Sports Show on YouTube. So you're more than welcome to hop on aboard. I do regular videos there with shorter versions, shorter clip. Um, for 5 minutes, usually the max, sometimes higher depending on what the clip is. But today we're kind of doing it on a long version of podcast. It's called Ontap. If you look at my lives on YouTube here, I've done a couple of these, haven't done one in a while. I want to do this kind of as a regular thing, semi-regular thing, maybe, once every 3 weeks, shall we say, if that makes sense, right? Or, hopefully sooner than that. Maybe make some more, depending on, the sports scene and the sports flow, how that goes. But you do have to be subscribed either way. I would greatly appreciate it. And that way, as soon as I upload, you get the ding, ding, ding as far as, the podcast goes. A couple of things I want to get into, just that I haven't covered on my YouTube channel. I just want to kind of cover them now before that news becomes obsolete. Just bear with me here 1 second as we're make sure all our devices are plugged in. We don't want to disappear all of a sudden. Mainly my iPhone, which is where I'm recording the pod. Yeah. Here. Here we go. We plug it in. Bingo, bango, plugged in, recording still. Beautiful. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? What do you want to talk about? My. Let's talk about the New York Jets, man. Being here from New York, the Jets, man, they listen. Let 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 let's let's just bring this back here for a second, right? Let's kind of rewind everything, right? As far as the Jets go. So they made the headlines yet again, and we'll kind of break this down here. Mr. Hardman, former Jet for a short period of time, starting off this year, was traded to Kansas City, back to Kansas City. He had 2 rings with Kansas City at the time. Familiar with what Kansas City did? They won a third time, and Mr. Hardman coincidentally had that touchdown at the end of it had that touchdown in overtime, which sealed it for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he basically said he was on a podcast now. And the podcasts are great. Everyone and their mother has a podcast. Look, even I have a podcast with me. Even me has a podcast, right? So everyone has a podcast, especially like the former athletes. They have a podcast. And it's a great thing, right? Because they are familiar with each other. It's a brotherhood. So when, they get comfortable, they're not going to be comfortable with journalists, reporters, people they don't know. You're more comfortable with people that you know, your brothers. And, well, former NFL players, current NFL players, they're brothers with Mr. Hardman. So Mr. Hardman, got a little bit too comfortable, I think, which, by the way, if you are like some of the Jets were kind of hinting at it, like Sauce Gardner was, and like various other Jets that someone gave away to try to leak out the game plan for when the Jets were playing against the Eagles, who coincidentally that was probably the Jets' best game in which they won this year. So it's almost like allegedly you could put the two and two together who leaked that out, and they're after that tweet was made, it's already there in space, but they can't it's like they deleted it. They almost wanted to as if that didn't exist, but it's out there. So it's almost like they're insinuating that Hardman may have leaked out info or to the Eagles as far as the game plan. Just you're getting in the weeds there, but he pretty much said in Hardman in that interview that that once Aaron Rodgers went down, there was nothing everything dropped. Um, you know, kind of was hinting or insinuating that the offensive coordinator knew nothing. Really didn't have a game plan, and there was chaos, and no, as in Sal, not a locker room leader. Just chaos. Chaos is what they were. He was insinuating, and he was like, like he didn't even want to. That's when he checked out. He wanted to play with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, not Zach Wilson. Nor did, if you recall, nor did Hardman want to return punts. That's part of the reason why he was with the Jets. He didn't want to do that. He's like, oh, I'm not returning punts. Are you kidding me? The Jets? No, I'm not returning punts. I want to see, the thing with the Jets, and what are you supposed to do? It's like, and the Jets are a laughing stock. I understand that. They have been a laughing stock for many of years. But if you're the Jets, what are you supposed to do? Right? You've been miserable for so long, for so many years. The fan base has been clamoring for something, for a Super Bowl. Not since Willie Joe Namath have they ever, been close. Okay, maybe the closest that you've gotten is with Sanchez, and that's not even saying much. This fan base here in New York, man, they have all the pain is a very famous saying with the Jets, and they want a winner. So what are you supposed to do? All your recent quarterbacks haven't panned out. You had Wilson, you had Darno, didn't pan out. What are you supposed to do? Right? You want to do something. And I can relate. Listen, I'm a Brooklyn Net fan. You know what the Nets did? They just like the Nets did twice. The Jets decided to go all in. The Nets, and we'll get into the Nets. The Nets, they went for Garnett. They went for Pierce one year. All in. Didn't work out. Then they went in all in kind of again for Durant, Harden, Irving. Didn't work out. So here you are. You have the opportunity to get Aaron Rodgers, who won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, who is a NFL MVP. What are you going to do? He's available. Why not? If fans want something, let's go all in. Let's take our shot. Let's take our shot. This might hurt us for the long term, but damned if we do, damned if we don't. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And the Jet fan base, management, maybe you say, sold their soul. It's like all perceptions might be wrong, but the perception is that Aaron Rodgers wants runs the team. The perception is that Salah and Joe Douglas should be gone, should be fired. At the very least, Salah. Someone should be fired, but that won't happen because Aaron Rodgers is there, and these are his guys. These are his people. He wants them in. He doesn't want anyone else. And, you're running it back essentially now with the same team, 4 plays. Just played all but 4 plays. And after the 4 plays, he was done from ACL. And after he was done, after those 4 plays, you may argue that that's when the team was lost. He's even said so himself that team, there's too many leaks in the Jets. That culture was toxic. Too many leaks, too many things going on, and it needed to stop. But yet, you know, managers would go on McAfee and say things that the Jets management had no idea about. They knew nothing about. And it made them look silly. Rodgers, 40 years old, better athlete than I am, he said that he's going to want to play for his team 3 or 4 years. And I hope that happens. I hope that happens because this team, for everything that they did for Aaron Rodgers, basically sold their soul. They need to win the championship. Or else they will continue to be that laughing stock. Part of the problem, part of the reason why the Jets were such a laughing stock too, Not even so much this. I mean, look, when Aaron Rodgers went down, the Jets had a better plan than Zach Wilson. They should have had a better plan than Zach Wilson as far as the backup quarterback. There were options out there. There was Zach Wentz, you know, Flacco. I don't know about Flacco. No one knew Flacco would do what he did there with the Browns. But at the very least, we had Zach Wentz, Carson Wentz rather out there, not Zach Wentz. Carson Wentz. There were options out there, or there things that you could have made early on to save the season with a trade. Look, last year, last year, you kind of had the idea of how the Jets felt about Zach Wilson. They had T-shirts, Mike White, Mike White T-shirts when Zach Wilson was still the quarterback. What does that tell you? Look, that tells you right there that the locker room was gone. It's a different year this year. It was this supposed to be a different year, but it's still the same old laughing stocks. And apparently, based on what other players are saying, that the Jets are too concerned. They're more concerned about, you know, um, taking Instagram photos and taking pictures and doing vids and dressing up in their fashion gear. This is according to, I think, a Philadelphia, a Eagle, nonetheless. So the Jets are being hog. But that's because it all fell apart when Aaron Rodgers fell apart. But he's the one that runs that, and then there was no other. Winning does a lot. Winning covers a lot. And when you don't win, and if you don't have a strong head coach, or at least a coach that has the locker room, a coach that's not stern, or a coach that tries to be everyone's friend, things like this happen. You know what's going to happen? Coming back at 40 years old, look, realistically, let's be honest, whether you like it or not, Aaron Rodgers could have been back this year. Very strong possibility that he could have been back if the Jets were in a better position. He might have been able to do it, but it's just they didn't pull the dice and take that gamble. But he is a freak athlete. I think that's everything. I mean, just for a fear of rambling on and on about this, I hope that all this and Aaron Rodgers we trust for the Jets fan base sake, I hope it works. Or else when Aaron Rodgers leaves, who knows how long he'll be playing. Make no mistake about it. He probably came, part of the reason why he came here is he knew that he would be able to semi-run this franchise, quote unquote, because this franchise is desperate. I hope it pays off for the Jets' sake. I hope it does, the Jets fan base sake, because there is a lot of going on in the Jets, and we solve all of that. And once you have winning, then there is the respect factor that comes back. To basketball and Bronny James, LeBron James' son, he is ranked 39th. And I just want to make sure he is ranked 39th right now in the world as far as basketball. Keep in mind, that this is the same Bronny James that had the health issue, health scare. I believe it was with his heart. And, he was kind of giving, and LeBron James kind of went out there and just, they were expecting, or the pungent, the pundits, is that the word? Were kind of expecting Bronny James to come out after year one. And they were saying that, oh, right now he's the 39th ranked in the NBA. And LeBron James, kind of tweeted, said, listen, you don't, what are rankings? What are rankings? And, who do these rankings mean nothing, blah, blah, blah. Just, keep your head uh, looking on the ground and, so to speak in those words, like, who cares about ratings? And that's right. I mean, who cares? He is ranked 39th. Now, listen, that's more than what us will ever be ranked here, listening and watching this podcast. 39th, that's phenomenal. Great. And due to that factor about, your health, thank goodness, thank God, thank the Lord that you're able to play and that you fully recovered. Honestly cares, right? If you're ranked 39th, right? You're 1 year in college. Cares about me. You have plenty of time to play in the NBA. That's to come out after year one. You could play. There's some athletes that have gone on to play over 4 years in college, 4.5 years in college, some players, and then they come out. And they're just as good, and they even say that they're even better. The fact that they were able to mature and play longer in college before coming out professional, right? You got all this time. You will make, just looking at, speaking of Bronny James, well, what he's ranked. He could be ranked 50th. Or, you know, there is so much time for him to make money. So much time for him to make money. Expand your game, take on, enjoy college. You're going to be playing against some great teams in college in the coming years. And then you'll come out. Your body will be different. You'll mature body wise. You'll mature mentally. There's so many life experiences that you will experience in college. And then you'll come out, you're Bronny James. Your game is only going to improve, I am sure. And you will then have fun in the NBA. I'm sure with all the endorsements that you will have, staying in college will be well worth it. There's no need to come out and try to prove, you know, um, to prove to all the naysayers. Just rankings. Are these players even like playing the game to actually know how you're playing? Are they playing one-on-one defense with you? It shouldn't matter. Honestly, it should not matter for Bronny James. Just enjoy college, enjoy life, enjoy going on trips, meeting new people, stay in class. You're going to expand your mind. You're going to learn many new things that you could apply to life once you're done with school and playing in the NBA, I am sure. Now, the Giants, going back to football. Man, oh man, man, oh man, oh man. If you're in the New York area here, you hear, as far as sports talk goes, you hear the same old back and forth, whether it be between the Jets or the Giants. The Giants, how they should draft a quarterback. How Daniel Jones is not the answer at quarterback. How, you should draft one of these quarterbacks high. All that's talked about here in as far for the Giants is quarterback. Look, Daniel Jones at this point gotten a nice contract, and he has not been able to perform on that contract because he has been injured. Right now, he had, I think, a neck injury. I think he's injured his arm or leg or something to that um, combination combo. So now he's been, in the New York Giant fan base here, he's been looked upon as being injury, okay, injury prone. So now the Giant fan base wants to, they want to draft Ontap. They want to draft, they want to draft all these other Caleb Williams. They want to draft. They have all the Giant fan base has all these names that they want to draft to take the place over a Daniel Jones. If you have any idea, or if you watch Giant football here in New York, or you watch it on any ticket that you have or any TV plan, and you watch the Giants. When Daniel Jones was on the field, he was constantly running for his life, running as if he's seen ghosts. And the reason why he's constantly running for his life is because full offensive line. There is no offensive line that the Giants have for poor Daniel Jones. So now, when I say to you, the same goes. If you draft one of these high quarterbacks, these talked about quarterbacks, these Caleb Williams, by the way, and I'm just throwing out these names because, Caleb Williams, by the way, did you hear that story too? That his father was asking if he's drafted by the Redskins, I believe was the latest team, that he wanted ownership, part ownership. What? Anyway, I don't know why you Giants personnel or Giants fan base rather is not asking for a offensive lineman. Yes, it's not the first. It's not sexy because no one knows, and you just know that these offensive linemen come from a cold, weather state where no one has heard about them, and it's not a sexy pick. It's not a sexy pick, right? An offensive lineman, the first round, is not a sexy pick. But you need offensive linemen. The reason why your quarterback is injured again is because he's running for his life and he gets knocked. Now, granted, his part of his running game was to run, but he is constantly being knocked down, constantly being hit. He can't get out of bounds safely. People are running after him. There's no offensive line. Look, doesn't matter who it is, Daniel Jones or Caleb Williams or, Pentex, whoever. Pentex is not going to get around a offensive lineman. He's not going to run away from there. He's not. He's not going to run away from them. You have Daniel Jones as having a better chance of getting away from them because he's seen the pro NFL game. The game is not as fast to Daniel Jones as it will be to a Pentex first. So dare I say, and I don't know how you make this happen. Not saying that a starting quarterback is not a worry. It is, but maybe you could get a good playable backup to back up Daniel Jones. Work on your offensive line. Maybe get a wide receiver. And then if you could maybe pick up a quarterback in the later rounds, or pick up a quarterback in the second or third round or fourth round. But you know what I mean, and then work on him and help him develop. But you should not be in no rush in getting a quarterback in the draft if you need to work on your line. Daniel Jones sees the game faster than a rookie quarterback would. And he still got injured. You need to work on your offensive line. Worry about that. Maybe get a wide receiver, or a quarterback later on, and then work on him, or a valuable quarterback to back up Daniel Jones. But please, you're going to have another quarterback go to slaughter if you don't fix your offensive line. Skipping to some baseball here, man, and I gotta tell you, I am worried for you, Met fans. I am extremely worried for you, Met fans. I remember when you Met fans, when you had the coupons, or the coupons, shall I say, as the owners of your team. The coupons were the owners of your team. Going into every off season here, be worried. Worried because, well, not we. I'm definitely not a Met fan. I'm a Yankee fan. Thank God for that. No, it's with the Yankees. It has not been that much easier in recent times, being a Yankee fan. Now, on to a subject of the New York Mets here. We prayed for the coupons, to sell the team. And they have sold the team. They have sold the team. They sold it to Uncle Stevie Cohen, King Cohen. Coh. Yeah, not Cohen, not the supermarket store, no. King Cohen. He was a lifelong Met fan when he, had the press conference too, he said. And he said that he himself too was tired of losing. He didn't want to lose. He wanted to win, and he took over a team. And all the Met fans were singing, "Holy, holy, holy smokes! Hallelujah, the Savior has risen." And it's Uncle Cohen. Uncle Stevie Cohen. He's now the owner of the New York Mets. And when he became owner of the New York Mets, He said, Met fan base, I am going to guarantee you. I am saying, almost like guaranteeing, that we will have a championship here within 5 years. 5 years. And since that time, it's scaled it back a tad here. It's no longer 5 years. It's a little bit of a longer plan. Okay. And you Met fans were on board. My wife is a Met fan. She was all on board. She was on board. Heck, last year. Now, listen. Let me rephrase this. Here you are, Mets, realizing that we might not win a championship that quickly. We, the Mets fans, believe it or not, they did spend a lot last year. They spent money in having Verlander, Scherzer, amongst other people. The two of those were the two main people that took up your salary. You didn't sign Jacob deGrom. Stevie Cohen did not sign Jacob deGrom. Said no to Jacob deGrom, and that turned out to be, now whether he said no or what seems like he never even never even wanted to come back here. Nonetheless, after deGrom did say many of times that he wanted to be a Met, I guess that's maybe lip service. Nonetheless, deGrom was not signed. Turned out to be the right move because deGrom did get another Tommy John surgery, if I'm not mistaken. But he did win a championship there for the Texas Rangers. Who's seen that coming? But nonetheless, Jacob deGrom was injured again. Now, there's one person who has never been injured, or at least an injury that has taken him out for a long period of time where you have injury concerns. He's a homegrown player. And I don't know what it is with the Mets and signing the homegrown players. They never seem to want to sign the homegrown players. It never works out that way. A lot of homegrown players go. They go. Because the Mets don't want to give them their money. But all these new free agents, the Mets pour out money to them. Big time bucks. But not the homegrown players that are, you might argue, already in getting said contracts. And I'm a little bit afraid for you Met fans. Alonso has the potential, not on the scale of a, dare I say, maybe Ohtani. They're not on the scale of an Aaron Judge. Maybe right underneath there, you have a Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso could very easily hit you 40 to 50 home runs every year. He's a home run hitter. Now, you would love the batting average to be a little bit higher. Yes, but he hits home runs. He has done nothing but hit home runs for you. But he's not here, a homegrown player. He has said that he wants to be a New York Met. He's not signed. Why? Why is he not signed? Listen, you might say to yourself that he, in hindsight-wise, and this will be just spitballing, if we as a team were to give out a contract, he has to be the full package in, playing offense and defense. Listen, if you think that he's not worth his end of the bargain playing defensively, he could always play a DH. Now he's gotten better at first base, but if the period and the time comes where he is not where up to par where he should be, he could always be a DH and still hit bombs for you. Hitting DH, I think that will help him too towards the end of his career in staying healthy and staying healthy. We know schools they spent money. Steve Cohen spent money last year. Like I said, he spent money on one of the highest payrolls. And the Grom, I mean, in Verlander, in Scherzer, and it didn't work out. So now, what my worry is they bring in a new GM, the GM that was with the Brewers and Stearns, and they try to do this, apply this of a team like they built the Milwaukee, which never won anything anyway, by the way. And they're going to try to build a world. They're going to try to build a playoff team, a contending team on a kind of you know not a premier city budget type of cheap, low ball plug along type of a way. Instead of signing a player that you can rely on being an attraction for the next 10 years. They rather this is what I worry about. Where Mr. Cohen maybe feels a little snake bitten with what happened last year. Didn't work out that way. He had envisioned it. He feels that that a team could be built. You're going to trade away a star player in Alonso, get maybe a prospect or two or three that you have no guarantee that will work out, but you will take that chance, and hopefully you get two quality players or a superstar, and you get two quality players that you have more control over and that could be with this franchise a lot longer than the Pete Alonso because they're a lot younger, blah, blah, blah. You could use all the imagination that you want in what the Mets are thinking. Again, I've never understood this. A player that has produced numbers, it's like you do not want to. And what you tell you do not want to sign him now, right before the season starts. And if he goes into this season hitting 65 home runs, 100 and I don't know, let's say 50, 60 home runs, 135 RBI. Are you going to sign him more? Are you going to give him more money than what it would cost you to sign him now? Man, I don't know. You have Seaver, you lose all these players that are homegrown that should be with this franchise forever, and they just leave and become superstars somewhere else. You're not supposed. The Mets fan base wants Pete Alonso, and You're not giving them Pete Alonso. Now maybe you will in the off. Maybe you will. All indications do not look like you will give the Mets Pete Alonso. Because it seems like there's even no communication from what I understand. And Steve Cohen has said, he has said that he's not toned up, that he understands that the Mets fan base wants Pete Alonso, but they're dangling Pete Alonso way too much. It's going to cost you a lot less if you're worried about money now than I'm sure it will at the end of this season. Geez, I could even see the Mets trading him, at the trade line if they're not doing too great and they're out of contention. I could see that happening. I just worry. I just worry that Uncle Stevie might be a little bit too snake bitten with what happened last year. I don't know. I am worried. You should not let one of these franchise players, these players that want to be here and represent your team, dangle on and be like, there for too long. He should have already been, signed up and good to go this season. But that's just me on the outside looking in as far as Pete Alonso. Bill Belichick. Here's a thought that I had about Bill Belichick as we're moving along here with Ontap here. Belichick, and listen, Bill Belichick is probably, you could argue, one of the goats or the goat of modern era, however you want to spin it. There is no better coach, you might say, than Bill Belichick as far as football. I just want to pose this question out there and kind of just dangle it in the internet, in the podcast world. Bill Belichick. Now it's, a little bit too, I think it's all about too late. Maybe this should have been a topic earlier on in the year. Or maybe I should have brought this up a little bit earlier. Should Bill Belichick, at the very least, since he does not have a head coach job, could he have decided to have been defensive coordinator? Now, Bill Belichick has had history of being a defensive coordinator, right, in the earlier years. Now, the only reason why I bring up such an absurd thing is it seems right now that the pattern that the way the NFL is moving forward is going in the way of new younger coaches. The younger coaches, way young. Oh, listen, I am 43. They're even younger than me. I'm turning 43 tomorrow. By the way, for the record, and that way, years and years since this, when this is out there, I could say I recorded a video on a leap year, February 29th, and you fine fans could say that you watched the video on the Thomas Sports Show on a leap year of February 29th. Nonetheless, and the coaches are young now in the NFL. They've been trending that for a while, but now it's even more evident, more so. So I only say that in the sense of if Bill Belichick should have been a defensive coordinator, because maybe you're still showing your you're showing your naysayers, maybe you're showing the management of these teams that you could still relate to the players. See, it might be where you're a good coach, you still have everything mentally, but can you get your point across? Can you relate to your teammates? Can you get your message across? Will they listen to you? That's, maybe what I think. Maybe that some of these owners think when they see Bill Belichick and they interview him, because he's a little bit up there in age, right? Compared to all these players, he could be their father. Maybe you might even argue like grandfather, even. If you really use your imagination, right? But listen. Well, but this is again, but then I hearken to it. This is Bill Belichick, right? You know, even if that's the case where they maybe used to Bill Belichick, and maybe even when he decided, or since he's not a head coach, we kind of as fans know that the New York Giants are not in the best of situations now either, right? Realistically, I mean, you you know, there's always that thought that the Giants sort of, it's a little bit of a sticky situation. I think it's safe to say, or maybe that's what Belichick thinks, that a team like the Giants, or maybe one or two other teams there, where they're kind of in dire needs, and or they're teams that he respects out there that he'd be willing to work with. Giants come to mind, right? Where he has such a history with the Giants, where if there was a coaching need, I don't think it's almost like a foregone conclusion that Belichick would go with the Giants, being that there is history there. Now, again, just looking at the Giants, they're going into that sticky area. I mentioned the draft is going to be very important for them. They have they have the Daniel Jones issue there too, but what the coach did, what the Giant coach did with a quarterback like DeVito, right? On for then that could be, who knows, that could be the highlight of DeVito's career. But he had taken the guy that was undrafted, DeVito, into uh, winning football games by the coach there. So I think at the very least that kind of gives you an idea of what type of coach you have, right? With the Giants, you have a coach that's pretty solid. Well, we know how some of these owners are, and how some of these managements are. Friendly today, enemies tomorrow. So who knows? That's just my thought there that I had with Bill Belichick. Lastly, before we run here, and I don't understand this, right? Say what you want about Cam Newton. Cam Newton, did you see this video that went viral with Cam Newton? Cam Newton, not in the league right now, was in the league recently, still believes that he could be a quarterback on certain teams. Whether you agree with that or not, that's up for debate. That's not what we're really discussing um, quickly today. What we're discussing is the fact that here he is, he's coaching in the Pee Wee Football League, right? Something that he should not be, doesn't need to do. He gets attacked. You are fighting Cam Newton. Cam Newton, even though he's not in the league, I don't know, I'm sure he's still jacked. Like four dudes are on him. He manhandles these dudes and starts knocking these dudes around. They're going to the floor. And there's that video of Cam Newton, man. Pee Wee Football League. I never understood. It's just Pee Wee Football League. Kids, what, like 10 years old these kids are? And you have a NFL player, a NFL MVP, guy that's been to a Super Bowl, Cam Newton. He's giving up his time to teach your son, a 10-year-old, who, by the way, making the NFL is a very slim chance. Slim. No matter how hard you work, not everyone's guaranteed to make the NFL. Now there are other options now with the USFL and Canadian football. Still very slim possibilities. Okay, and you have a guy like Cam Newton teaching your kid, giving him some pointers that he can maybe take and hone, make his own, apply it to uh, what he needs to improve on in the game. In Pee Wee, mind you, not even high school, not even college, Pee Wee. And he has to deal with just being told, or whatever, heckled, attacked Why? Why do we do this? We need to be better. It's just the parent. And I know that a lot of the times the parents live kind of like through their child's eyes, like what because what they weren't able to do, they want their child to do. But this is Pee Wee Football League. We need to relax. Some of these kids, let's focus on more important stuff like learning how to teach our kids how to tie our shoes. Who knows if they know how to tie our shoes at age 8 or 9? My God. You're lucky if Cam Newton even decides to come back now to teach. Why does he have to go through this? He's not getting paid to go through this. He doesn't need the money. But why through this being tackled? Like, excuse me, I need the NFL. You're going to tell me that what I'm saying is not accurate? You guys should not be listening to me? Oh, man. It's some of this stuff, man. It's just too comical, and we really need to take a step back. Seriously, step back. Without a step back, I will be taking a few steps back and a few steps forward. I'll be hitting the end screen button as we have concluded our episode here of Ontap. Please do subscribe. It's the Thomas Sports Show on YouTube. It's on top. It's on tap. Thomas Sports Show wherever you get your podcasts. I hope all is well, and I look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon.